Well, this is the cheapest budget deck I think I've ever made on this channel. It is literally 4 rares and no mythics. And this is Boros cycling. So this is a deck that's pretty simple. We just want to cycle cards over and over and over again. We draw through a huge amount of our deck and finish off the opponent. So let's start with going over some of the basics. Let's cover the lands first. Simplest thing. It's 21 lands, 11, 10 basics, nice and simple. Next, we'll go over our cycling payoffs. So first we have 8 1-drops, Flourishing Fox and Marauding Mako. Each of these creatures is a 1/1 for 1 that has the ability whenever we cycle a card, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So it's one that we can play on turn 1, and then by turn 4 we could be a 10-10 very easily. So constantly growing, gaining advantage, early threat for the deck. Then we have our other payoffs, which is the Monument to Endurance and the Zenith Flare. Monument to Endurance is an insanely good card. Whenever we discard a card, we can choose one of the following: draw a card, make a treasure, or each opponent will lose 3 life. Cycling, literally in the rules, is we discard this card to draw a card. So it turns our card neutral into card advantage, drain, and treasure. If we get 2 of these, it's an insane one. A Zenith Flare is a 4-mana instant that will deal X damage to any target. Spoiler alert, it will always be the opponent's face. And we will gain X life, where X is the number of cards we're cycling in our graveyard. So we want to cycle through our deck to find these payoffs, play them, score advantage, and grind out the game. Let's talk about this subcategory of our cycling cards. So these 3 cards, the Dranith Healer, the Valiant Rescuer, and the Dranith Stinger, are all creatures 2-drops that we can play as a backup plan. They all have a trigger which resolves on our cycling. Dranith will gain us a life, Stinger will do a damage to each opponent, and Valiant Rescuer will make an additional 1/1 each turn. That's the plan B of this deck. We can play these and try to gain value that way. These cards also have a cycling value, so we can just cycle them if we have other engines on the battlefield. Finally, we simply have 3 more cycling cards: the Footfall Crater, Go for the Blood, and Imposing Valiant Saw. All of these cycle for 1 generic, and they are basically the category of spells. If we're casting the spell, something has gone very wrong with this deck. So that's the deck, and this is basically what we're going to do. We basically are going to play an early threat, cycle, find a good engine, play that, and cycle, win the game through grindy monument triggers or 1 massive burn spell. This deck is fragile glass cannon and folds to a lot of stuff, but it is really fun and really cheap to make. So let's jump into some games. First game here, we got a good opening hand. We have a Mako 1/1 and 3 cyclers. Opponent starts with blue, so let's get the Marauding Mako down early and see what our opponent goes for. Blue-white instantly makes me think this could be a control deck, so we can cycle at instant speed. However, I'm going to cycle 1 now, see what we find. If we find something, we might change our plan. We just find another cycle card, so let's cycle another card. Mako is now a 3/3. There's a Monument to Endurance, which is going to change the math substantially. Opponent shocks in a Steam Vent. Spirit Oasis, this is a 5-color Shrines deck, or an Enchantress deck. Zenith Flare, so let's play the Monument and swing in, puts them down to 12. If they don't answer the Monument here, we could probably kill them in next turn, although they are going to gain 2 life here. And then play a Ghost Shinrai. Okay. We're going to play this land for turn, move to combat, I think. Yeah, we're going to attack, see if they want to block. They don't block the Moreko, so let's start by cycling. So we cycle 1, trigger the Monument. Let's make them lose 3. We've got a cycle 1 here with a healer, so we'll cycle that. Now we can draw a card. We find another couple of cyclers, that's perfect. So we cycle again here to make a treasure. I'm doing all of this because the maths is if we cycle 1 more time here, they'll be on 7. Then we can put a stop in their upkeep, cycle again, and drain them for free with the Monument. Because the Monument doesn't specify your turn. So they are on free, we move to the upkeep, we move to our 1 cycle, we cycle, select free damage, and the opponent concedes. Good game. Good showing for the deck. Match 2 here, and we are up on it again. We have a solid opening hand. We have a Flourishing Fox. We have 2 foxes actually that can lead into either a monument or more cycling, but we've got to see what our opponent's doing. So play a Flourishing Fox. Our opponent, blue-white land. Okay, so potentially control again. Right, with that in mind, I'm going to cycle 1 here, see what we find. I'm going to cycle 1 again. I'm going to hold back on the threats here because they could just go into a board wipe. So I want to get the monument down as fast as possible, hopefully under an attack spell. Seal away. So this appears to be a potentially budget flash deck. I'm going to play the Moreko here and play the Valiant Rescuer. Now I'm doing that because I'm thinking that they're going to go into a board wipe here. This still felt like a control deck, so I was playing to that out. However, this turned out, spoiler alert, you'll see now, this turned into a blue-white tap flash deck. I was very confused by it, so we're going to play the Monument to Endurance. And then we'll... yes, we will. We'll cycle. So, we'll make a treasure. Draw a card. Find another cycler here. We're going to wait, because the Rescuer triggers only once each turn, so... Opponent plays a land. This is why I'm still wary that there could be a board wipe here. They play a Vengeful... So this is like a blue-white tap deck. I'm very interested as to what they were trying to do here. Okay, so we're going to cycle with the Dranif Healer. We will choose to draw a card here because we just need to get more power on the table. Make sure that we find draw. Yep, plenty of cycling here. So I'm going to cycle this first. Trigger. Let's draw a card. We want to get as much card advantage as possible. Okay, move to combat here. We can make the Moreko big enough here that if they double block, we can still cycle enough cards so it survives. They are keeping their board though. Alright, so with that in knowledge, I'm going to just take the damage here. We can do 6 damage over 2 turns with the Monument, so I was still wary of a board wipe at this point. I didn't want to overcommit. There's a Evasion. This is a blue-white flash ally. A tap. This is like a brew deck, and I respect brew decks. Like, they look like they have a ton of ways to just tap our stuff. You know, it kind of feels like someone had a really cool time at the pre-releases trying to make a pre-release deck a real thing. That's not an insult, by the way. I've done that many times. Okay, so with that in mind, let's drain free and draw a card. Cycle the Imposing Vrantosaur. Draw another card. There's a Zenith Flare, so we just have lethal with a Zenith Flare now. Well, we don't technically, so let's attack in. They can block the Mako and the Rescuer. So I'm going to cycle the Fox first. Have them drain free. I'm still being very wary of anything they could do here, so I'm going to cycle again with Dranif. I'm going to draw a card just to draw, see if we find anything. We got 2 more cyclers, so we're not dead, and let's go for a lethal Zenith Flare. Good game. Alright, double speed game here. This was a game where I wanted to show you what happens if you don't find Zenith Flare or Mako. So this was a slightly earlier build of the deck. I was still running the Madness Skin Artificer because I thought we could burn out opponents. This was the game that made me take out the other cards and go straight into playing full power here. So I start going with the Flourishing Fox, and they have Parting Gift. I would like to point out as well, at the time I was playing this, the festive challenges were on for achievements, so I think some opponents were literally like this guy, playing decks that gave gifts and tapped creatures because they were just trying to get the achievements. Crumb and get it, yeah, see. Everything in this deck felt like it was designed to do something yeah, so if you see here, I'm going to cycle this Artificer, draw a card, find a Dranith, find a Rescuer. I'm going to play... I'm going to play the Rescuer here. So, yeah, I will say at this point, I believe the deck was running only, I believe, two Zenith Flares. I went up to 3 after this because you'll see how ridiculous this was. So, we'll play the healer for life gain and pass back. We have a single cycler in hand here. Opponent swings in, puts us down to 8. They're up to 27. We can just cycle the Fox here. I'm going to choose to draw a card, make another blocker, go for blood here. Right, so this is where we get to the point where I was saying in the deck tech, if you're thinking about casting cards, I'm genuinely thinking about casting Go for Blood here to just trade a creature for a creature. So we play a Valiant Rescuer. I'm looking at my options here and decide I'm going to cycle the second Valiant Rescuer here. I should have probably gone wide in hindsight and gone just like make a ton of 1/1s and just gone for it. We find another Madmakin Artist here, and I get greedy and I decide I'm going to play a second Monument here. They have 4 damage on the attack that can't be blocked. And then they play a Sword that equips, swings in, taps our stuff, puts us down to 6. So yeah, I'm going to cycle the Madmakin here, double trigger from the Monument. So even though we don't find the Zenith Flare here, this game is just a testament to how powerful the Monument to Endurance actually is. So we cycle a card here. We've already drawn 2 cards, so we'll make treasure, and draw a card. There's our 4th Monument. So bear in mind, we have not found a single Zenith Flare yet. But we have managed, yes, as I said before, casting a Go for the Blood to take out a creature is an indication that you're not going to plan, as they say. They're on 34 life here. Play another Topplegeist, tap our creature. I'm going to cycle in the end step here with the treasure, because I'm going to just draw cards. One thing is something I wanted to advise as well is, Monument to Endurance also triggers in your cleanup step. So just remember that you can go nuts in the cleanup. I'm going to just swing in with a bunch of 1/1s here. They take the damage, putting them down to 28. Cycle a card. We're going to just trigger all 4 Monuments to draw cards. Now, Zenith Flare is probably lethal if we find it. But spoiler alert, we're not going to find it this game. We draw so many of our lands. So we just play another healer here because I'm just like, you know what? I'm going for actual speed here. So we just got 2 cards, which will trigger each of our Monuments twice. Because it's whenever we discard a card, and cleanup step counts them as individual cleanups. Yeah. So opponent goes in, they attack, tap our creature down. I'm holding this Go for the Blood just to gain life here. They've gone up to 18. Bear in mind, they were on nearly 40 life when we were at the start of our last turn. End step, I'm going to cycle here. I'm just going to choose to draw and then make them... I'm going to do a discard, and they see that they're dead and they concede. Yeah, we didn't get Zenith Flare, but it worked. Deck's pretty fun.